Welcome to Fun with Forms. Man, oh man, I am so excited to be with these guys. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. I want you guys to understand these volunteers spend countless hours working on forms, and I have the chair and the vice chair. Mr. Chair, go ahead and introduce yourself so everybody knows who you are.
Hi, guys. I'm Rob Morganti with Life Realty. Pleasure to be serving on forms as chair. Been licensed in Nevada for about 23 years now. So just trying to get it done and making it easier.
Absolutely. And if you guys don't understand, we're trying to make this fun. Forms can be fun, and they have to be fun because we have so many things that are happening in the marketplace. And we're going to talk about some of those that are really important. Sir?
And I'm John Fleckenstein. I'm your vice chair of forms this year and with Las Vegas Realty. I'm actually having a good time doing it.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So I'm going to turn the time over to you. I'm just here periodically to jump in. So what are we going to start off with first?
Well, I think start macro, and what we do on forms is we don't try to create more work.
Yes.
When it comes down to membership, right? So what we really try to establish is hearing from the practitioners out in our membership that may have questions, concerns, comments about certain forms. We discuss them. We talk about them in a committee. We bring it to the board of directors, which, by the way, Lee, you guys have done an amazing job this year.
Thank you.
With us, and especially last year with some of the directives that we got from them. But we're not trying to create more work. We're just trying to simplify it. And you also, with the forms committee, we have to be in front of the curve on what's going on, like Lee said, in the marketplace as things are changing, adjusting. Solar was a big form this year that's being added, which I think is very, very important. A lot of the forms that are rolling out in April are kind of cleaning up and adding some signature lines. It's more maintenance than it is actual
Absolutely
getting it out there.
And can you explain that you don't roll them out every month. You intentionally wait till 2 times a year.
Correct. Correct. If we were to roll them out every month, we'd be driving ourselves nuts, and transaction desk and brokers would be paying more money on these sky slopes and things like that. And that's not our intention. So we roll them out April and October. Every year. It's been pretty consistent with that. So when we do get feedback and we do get emails from our membership, there's a time involved. I mean, nothing's knee-jerked here, and it's a well-thought-out process. We have property managers, we have other counties involved, we have Northern Nevada involved, we have lawyers, we have third-party lawyers in here that are kind of looking at our verbiage to make sure that we're doing it, correct, to make the job easier when it gets to the board of directors, that it's all been kind of wordsmithed and everything else.
Absolutely.
And I think that's kind of important as well. From the membership standpoint, is don't be afraid to send us emails.
Yeah,
correspond with us. You guys see this stuff day in and day out. Let us know things that you're running into that could be an issue with a form or the format of a form. And Rob and I and the whole committee will take a look at it. So
I think, and I think people don't realize the practitioner is the one that finds things and says, "Hey, this would really be good if we could do this." And I think the practitioner, you need to let these guys know so that they can make your life easier. And that's the only reason why they're there, is to make your life easier, because the form is tested, proven, and we have attorneys look at it and we make it the best we possibly can. When I was president before, in 2004, we had 84 different offers. And so nowadays we've condensed all that. So everything that you guys have done on forms is amazing.
Yep. Thank you. We're doing our best. And I think with the experience that we have on the committee is over probably 220 years worth of experience. So, I mean, it is looked at by practitioners of the trade.
Absolutely.
And the nice thing with the committee too is we've brought in folks from outside, so to speak, meaning title companies, attorneys, and
mortgage companies
that can look at it from
those are great additions.
Yep. So we're rolling to our...
Let's do it. Let's go to the end. Absolutely.
So John and I kind of bounce everything off on what we did. A couple of the forms were just kind of maintenance, but we do have 12 basic forms that are rolling out in April that will require some changes. We'll start with the addendum, the residential purchase agreement. Not a lot changed on this. We just added a additional 2 lines of signatures and acceptance as a final acceptance of the addendum, just letting everyone know that it's been noticed and accepted on that.
And the other thing I thought was kind of cool was adding here too was the rejection part of it. So that almost like with a purchase agreement.
Absolutely.
A rejection, so you can at least get something back.
Some evidence.
That it's been presented.
Yeah, and that was some of the feedback we got as well, is saying, okay, well, if the seller or buyer doesn't sign it, then it's not accepted or it's not ratified, and take it from there. Next is the buyer's notice of disclosure. I think this one, John, if you want to touch base on the home inspection part.
This was a form that most of us should be familiar with, but we did make some changes on the home inspection section, and we included some terminology in there for that basically came across from the FHA home inspection amendment, and we've incorporated it into here. We removed some of the FHA terminology, but basically it's so that the buyer acknowledges whether or not they're going to get a home inspection, the recommendation they should get a home inspection.
See how fun this is?
That,
You mean, isn't this just a kick?
and to me, that's huge.
Yeah.
You don't want any future litigation. You don't want any of those things because the consumer said, well, nobody talked to me about it. Right. So it is a winner chicken dinner, that one.
Exactly.
And the thing I really like with this is we ran into that in the past because the only real form that we had dealing with home inspection was the FHA mandatory thing. So being able to bring that into an actual document that we can use that's not just geared towards an FHA loan, I think is huge.
Rob's running this podcast like he runs your board meeting, man. You guys are moving through this stuff quick. I take more time to talk about stats. You guys are on it.
No, we just try to move through. I think it's important to get it out there, but also have a little exchange and debate with it as well. The exclusive authorization and right to sell, exchange, or lease brokerage listing agreement. This one is a great one because we added actually in the listing agreement does or does not include the solar power system.
Oh, man.
So we're getting that information up front from the seller during the listing appointment or listing agreement time. Then it'll kind of flow right into the solar addendum. That's going to be part of that as well. So we're providing that information. I'm getting offers that, okay, we're extending due diligence to 15 days so we can make sure we have all the proper information on the solar.
Absolutely.
This kind of gives us as listing agents or whoever's taking listings out there to have the ability to have this already.
A little heads up, yeah.
Turn it over with the SRPD once we have an accepted RPA, and then the due diligence can start with the solar contracts as well.
Yeah.
And those solar contracts are complicated. So the more people have to that full due diligence time period, they're better off.
And we'll get into that a little bit further with the whole solar panel addendum, but just for everyone out there, this has been a process. Solar panel, like on the MLS side, has been in, been out. We've added, we've subtracted, we've put things into contracts, taken it back out. But I think you'll find when we get to it, the solar panel addendum that we've created is going to be, folks will like it.
And we had a lot of input from solar companies.
Absolutely.
And solar professionals, I guess, that would kind of say, okay, that's great, look at this, you need to add this, or take this off, or that's not necessary, or things like that. Because now it's just, okay, let title run, let them get the statement and transfer.
And you don't want to find out about this stuff by accident. And that's why having it on the form is like just another checklist opportunity to say you need to check into this.
Absolutely. Next is the Irrevocable Real Estate Commission Agreement. This is kind of protecting us as members if we do have any for sale by owners out there that happen to have the buyer coming in, that it's signed by the seller and the agent and the broker license number, that the seller will pay us
compensation
for bringing in a buyer. So before it was like, okay, I'll do a one-day listing agreement with specific to the buyer. Here's your 11 pages and a lot of
too complicated.
leads. This is a one-page agreement that's going to show compensation if you bring in for sale by owner.
And for all you agents that are out there that don't know what he just said, is when you don't find an asset for your client, you should get on the phone and look. And if you call for sale by owners or expired listings or just go into a neighborhood, you want to make sure you get that negotiated, that compensation negotiated in the beginning so that you can get paid. How many times, can't share with you, but I can't tell you how many times I've done that work only to find out that I put the two parties together and didn't get paid on it.
Oh, that's absolutely correct. And the other thing I kind of like with this form too is it also brings in the rental side.
Absolutely.
So, for those folks that are out looking for rentals, this will give you the ability to find landlords that may not have their rental listed with a brokerage or through the
That's a great point.
So you can also use the form for that.
Yep.
Keep us going, Bubba.
All right, let's roll. Let's multiple listing service change order. So this was a little bit of a formatting one as well by adding additional sellers. One of the main things that we got, I think, is everyone's asking for 4 sellers.
Yeah.
Not necessarily 4 buyers as much, but if we could fit it in there, we will. But the 4 sellers seems to be a bigger thing, whether it's with trust or LLCs or things like
Absolutely.
that. We want to make sure that we get as many signatures on there. As if it's more than 4, then we can't help you. Just kind of sign it down at the bottom.
And we don't want them writing it sideways. Yeah.
Exactly. We're doing that. We also added under the section 1 of if it's an extension of a listing agreement, that it's only if the listing's expired within the past 30 days is when you kind of checkbox that. And then also on section 2, they changed the selling/lease price from X to X. So we added kind of lease in there, just kind of did a little tidying up of that one. And then that one's not much to talk about. It's kind of cut and dry. Same thing with the withdrawal and termination. That is just a simple added additional sellers onto that one with broker and listing agent information as well.
Good deal. We had a client want to get out of a buyer's brokerage agreement. And I told the staff at the office, I said, look to see if it's on our website. And boom, there it was. I mean, you guys have thought of so many forms that, we used to have to design, and now it's there.
And we try our best not to bombard our board of directors with 50 motions and forms. We really, there's a process.
Yes.
And it's thought.
And we appreciate it.
Yeah, no, we appreciate you guys pushing through too. So probate sale disclosure. John, you want to talk about this one? This one's a huge one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. This is a new form that was created. For those of you that have done probate sales and for those of you that haven't, they're a different animal. And there are a lot of little nuances to completing a probate purchase. And there was never really any guide or anything to help you as a buyer's agent and your client to kind of navigate that. So what we were trying to do with this disclosure is give some information to your client, but to you as the agent as well, with some of the things that you will come across as you are doing the probate purchase, and just some things to prep your client for court hearings.
Absolutely.
Some of the statutes that are related to how the probate actually works. Just some of the little
failure to close penalties.
Absolutely.
So.
What this did, as somebody does probate, it put it all into order. And it's for you that, we just had a probate class here in town with CRS. And I think it's interesting. Everybody finds out about this niche, but they don't know. They just get enough information to get themselves in trouble. The statute says you're supposed to stay in your own lane. As an example, you're a property manager, and we all know that for a long time we didn't have a permit for that because people were in their own lane, but they were doing everything with property management. And so the same thing with this. This form is so good, and it's well needed right now.
And we had 2 people on our committee that really understand probate inside and out, and actually help create this form for these main reasons. It was originally going to be just a information sheet.
Yeah.
And just put it in the file in the library, but I think it warrants enough credibility to have signatures from buyers and sellers.
Well, and to me as a broker, and it's risk management.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, we did it, we explained it to you, and now you signed off on it.
Right.
Absolutely. So anyway, so what we have next is the residential property management agreement.
And this one was actually kind of interesting. We took seller out of the property management agreement and replaced it with owner. Right. That just kind of seems to make sense.
It sure does.
Yep.
The management agreement is not a seller.
Yeah.
And I don't do property management. That was one of the things that I'm like, well, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
What would the difference be? But it's huge.
Exactly. Moving right along, just a few more for you guys. A residential purchase agreement. We actually, on the purchase agreement, as we did on the listing agreement, we added under the disclosures under Section 11, we have a checkbox for a solar panel. So if it's in the MLS, or if it's you walk up to the house and it's not in the MLS and you happen to see solar panels or possibly ask the question, you want that disclosure sent over as if it's a construction defect disclosure you're asking for, SRPD you're asking for, open range, lead-based paint, whatever that is, you're going to checkbox. So that's going to be part of the contract as well, and a certain amount of time to get that during the due diligence. So then we're going to ask for a copy of that new solar addendum, which John's going to touch base on. Kind of move right into that. How about that for
That was
a
smooth,
nice little
man.
smooth segue?
Yeah.
So
You sound like you're on the radio.
Hey, you got
the solar panel addendum is, again, it's a new form, and it's one that's had some tweaks over the last little bit. Just to clarify also, this is for solar voltaic panel systems.
Oh, my God.
That means it has to generate electricity.
yes.
So this is not if you have
The pool.
pool
Yeah.
with the solar hot water for the pool's pump or something like that. This deals with the electrical generation that these panels create.
And you use the official term, too.
I spent like 30 minutes. I think you put 30 minutes in the meeting trying to figure out what it was. Thank you, Mr. Lavelle.
Yes. Like I said, this has been an ongoing problem for the last few years with just getting information. And the nice thing with this addendum and the fact that we've incorporated it into the listing agreement, I think, is it starts that discussion when it needs to be started with the seller when you're taking the listing. Get that paperwork together. You know, this is letting the seller know, what kind of system do you have? Do you own it? Are you leasing it? Do you have the paperwork?
Pull the forms out, yeah.
Can you get the paperwork? Who do you pay? So it gets that discussion going before you actually get a contract, because I know, speaking for my office, you run into those problems. You get a purchase agreement and then, oh, there's solar panels. Oh, we got to do a UCC file.
And all of them are different, absolutely. And each contract is unique unto itself, so got to get it as soon as
I mean,
possible.
and it's so important because we're having, in Vegas, we're having about 250 houses a day
Sell
going
yeah.
into solar.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the stats that one of the reps was talking to us about last October. In the future, we're going to have a majority of our homes for sale on solar. Now, if you're reading this form, and as you guys go through the form with your sellers, they may not know what package they have. I mean, you can't just have, I think it's this and checkbox and send it out. I mean, there's going to be a due diligence on your seller side.
And yours.
From the listing side to when we're ready to go live and we have this addendum ready. So there's going to be a little homework on the front end that I promise you is going to save a lot of headaches, because I've seen a lot of deals kind of
Absolutely.
float away.
Well, and it's a risk management issue. I mean, you guys have covered brokers, you've covered agents to say, hey, look, if you don't know, put the burden on the owner.
And the other thing I kind of think with it too is, at least from my standpoint, when you're working with a buyer, for example, you know, there's times in the past you would come across the home with a solar panel, and it's like, do I really want to mess with it?
Yeah.
Do I want to tell my clients, you might want to, I think this will help with that. It's going to put some clarity into the transaction in the beginning when you need it, when you're doing your due diligence. And like I say, and it gives the listing agent some tools with the seller to say, these are the items that we're going to need.
Yep.
Start getting.
I agree.
And I think also on that solar addendum, the last page was really important, John, that you brought up, and you wanted to eliminate a lot of these issues for the buyer's due diligence is, you know, we had age, battery storage, fine loan, grid, tile. I mean, they had 15, 20 items on there. Eliminated all those because we couldn't mention every single one of them.
Right.
So by taking that out, and we changed the date and modified the year as well.
Yeah, because the problem is when you have a huge list like that, at least in my mind, if you miss something,
It's more confusing.
it's more confusing.
Absolutely.
And this way, it's a general due diligence. You need to check, you as the buyer, you need to check the system out and make sure it meets what you're trying to do.
And last but not least, the vacant land purchase agreement. This is a really simple change that we had. We made it consistent with all of our other RPAs. Close date on or before. We just had a close date flat on the land,
Date.
on the land, and
absolutely.
like, okay, let's add on or before. And I know it's a simple change, and you can do addendums for it, but on or before is really important for.
Absolutely. And sometimes you forget it and the offers together and Due diligence takes longer or something takes longer, you have to do an addendum.
Exactly.
And that's one of the things that again, with the communication from members and stuff, what we're trying to do with a lot of these documents is get some consistency across documents.
Absolutely.
So that when you look at a vacant land purchase agreement, there is some similarity to the residential, not exact, but some similarity in some of the terms.
So you can follow, so you can track it.
Yes.
Follow it.
And there's no little landmines in there that somebody overlooked. So that's, at least for me with some of this stuff on the forms, it's just really important to get that consistency across all the forms for the stuff.
And I think the great thing that we're doing also is that we get information from the members, but if we don't have a lot of information from the member, we still meet as a committee to try to tackle the consistency in the papers.
Yeah.
To try to make it really simple. I think the next thing we're looking at is probably trying to categorize the forms into drop tabs to kind of make them all consistent, what we talked about last month. And, just make little buckets for it to make it like user-friendly.
Absolutely.
And I know there's people out that are watching the video and they're going to say, oh my God, there's so many things wrong, that just like we want to hear the practitioner.
We need feedback. Absolutely.
Absolutely. I think that's super important to us.
And on that note, one of the things I'd like to just mention, because I'm just as guilty as everyone, check transaction desk. There's probably a form.
Oh, absolutely. That's the whole saying.
Even if the title is weird, go look, because there.
Yeah, open them up and read what it says. Absolutely.
Because I've run into people, it's like, well, I'm trying to do this. And it's like, we have a form for that. Really?
No.
Yes.
And I'm trying to write this addendum. No, it's here.
And where it really came in was photos. Yeah. With people talking about photos and the copyright of the photos and the ability to use them and all of that. There's actually photo documents in transaction desk.
For your protection.
No, correct.
Yeah.
And people are like, wow, that's in there. So please take the time to look at transaction desk and because there may be a form in there.
Yeah, there most likely is. Here's the secret. I want everybody's listening to this podcast or watching it. These guys don't get paid for this. There's so much effort and so much time. Your membership, these people that take their time to make our practice better. When you see these guys on the street, just say this to them. Thank you very much. Because they're the people that make this association run. All of our volunteers and all our committees, our closed committees and open committees. The difference between closed committee is they're appointed by the president. Open committees, you can just show up. But all the people that volunteer, they do it because they have a passion for protecting you, protecting the practice of real estate. So, these guys have done an amazing job. Make sure you go in and look at these forms, read them. There's issues with that you look at the projection of it a little bit differently, and you're like, if we turned it this way, what it would look like. Send them an email, because they're always willing. I've sat in these meetings. They're always willing to listen to different opinions, and so make sure you do that. You guys want to make any closing statements?
No, I think I thank the members first and foremost and I've been a member for a long time, and I would always give ideas or constructive feedback, or, hey, what about this? And can we do this? I have discussions. I mean, we're open to the discussion.
Absolutely.
That's the most important thing, is an experience that you're having may be an experience that I've never had, or John's never had, or Lee's never had. And we bring it up as a committee and we talk about it. I think it's super important that we get that communication from the members.
Absolutely.
And the only thing I would piggyback off of with that is we're not unreachable. Please don't hesitate. We do respond to emails. We do respond to phone calls. So if you are running into an issue, please let us know, because we're more than happy to take a look at it. And would also like to encourage all members, check out a committee.
Amen.
Yeah.
Get more involved.
It changes projection. Absolutely.
You start doing some of this stuff, and you can actually see what goes into it and both sides.
Well, especially for you guys, especially this committee, you instantly see the rewards. You instantly, because people go, man, that form was amazing, and here's how it saved me money. It saved me from potential litigation. I think the two forms that I'm really impressed with is the solar and the probate. I mean, those things were really well thought out, and he had a lot of input in them. So here's the secret. Go look at all these forms. Take notes. If you have any questions, reach out to these guys. They're available to, you guys want to leave your emails or?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
Email's robmorganti@gmail.com. That's ROBMORGANTI@gmail.com.
And mine is John, JOHN, at LasVegasRealtyLLC.com.
Perfect. All right. Guys, thank you very much for listening. Thank God Rob kept us on time.
Oh, please.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you. Appreciate you guys very much. All right. See you next time.
Thank you.